Okay. So what I want to share with you all today is, and hopefully with the help of Alice, I see Alice was on the call yesterday. So like, feel free, Alice, to unmute yourself if you want to add anything, or if I'll give you a chance to sort of cover in your own words, what's on the slide. And then I can always add my 2 cents after. So maybe we can tackle this together today. So I'm going to share my screen. And what we covered in the training yesterday was approach. So this is obviously very foundational in our business, for generating leads. How do we share the opportunity? How do we create duplication in our team? And how do we retain the people that we have, right? So that's kind of what was covered. And I don't have the same flavor or energy and enthusiasm as Danny does. We all have different styles and we all have different methodologies, but this is very important to learn. And I learn, even though I do this stuff every day, it's like when I train it and when I teach it, it reinforces that learning even more, right? So I'm always happy to review it with you guys. So let's just go through the slide one by one. So the first thing is what you do duplicates, right? Whether it's good or bad, because people will do what you do. Like if we're thinking of team building, right? And we're being positive and we're always in action and we're, tuning into the trainings. All of you are here today to learn, right? Where's the rest of everybody, right? Like, and what do we want to put into the world where we are creating duplication in a positive way? So we want to be ourselves, in anything that we do, like not even in just this business, but even in general. Being authentic is so important, right? You don't need to pretend like you're somebody else. You don't need to, pretend like you're making millions of dollars. Like it's not, don't put yourself out there in any other way than you, right? How I show up is different than how Sheila shows up, is different than how Zawadi shows up, because we're different people, right? So being genuine and being yourself and being authentic to who you are. So if there's a birthday somewhere, I just heard. Maybe it's a belated birthday for me. I don't know. I'm just joking. Anyway, I just muted. If you're on the line, just keep yourself muted so that it's not distracting the rest of the group. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, be genuine, be authentic. People will see through, if you're not being who you are. If you're just trying to make a sale rather than, caring about people and being excited about what you have, people will see through ingenuity. So just be yourself. And also recognize that people have different mentalities based on what they're told, right? So based on what they believe to be true, and this goes for anything in life, right? When it comes to like how to best take care of your health, even controversial topics such as, the pandemic that we're in the middle of right now, different business models, different opportunities. Like people have different mindsets and mentalities based on what they've learned from their own experience or from other people's experience. And so sometimes when we're sharing what we do, and I mentioned this in the beginning, sometimes we come up against some resistance, or people already make up their mind of that that's not something I could do, or that's not for me, before even, understanding fully what it is or receiving all the information. So it's just something to be aware of, that as we're out there sharing and talking about what we have, not everybody is going to see it the same way that we will. And that's okay, right? Because that's their perception. So all we can do is share open and honestly, share from our hearts, from a place of wanting to make a difference in people's lives and being excited about what we have. We can't always control what their response is going to be, and if they're going to become a customer or a partner or not. And it's okay. In any scenario is okay, because not everybody is going to want to, do business with us. Like what we have isn't for everybody. If it was, then we would all be millionaires by now, right? So just remember, what you do duplicates focusing on the good, focusing on the positive, being yourself. If you're excited, people are going to be excited. If you're passionate, people are going to be passionate. People will be attracted to what you're putting out. So if you're not someone who's normally excited or super high energy, like we're all different personalities of people too. So people know me as someone that's, you know, I bring energy. Like I've been told that I light up a room, right? You know, and unfortunately we can't, in times of COVID, I can't hug my people right now, but like I'm a big hugger. Like I need to be around people in connection. And that's really where I thrive. But there's people that we work with that are from all different backgrounds, have different personalities, you know, and we'll talk about some of the different personality types today, because it's really interesting looking at, you know, the psychology of people. And, you know, someone that may not be a social person, but they're more reserved or they're more analytical, and how can we kind of adjust ourselves so that we're speaking to people and we're interacting with people in a language or where they're comfortable too, right? Kind of matching and mirroring. So caring about people, having good intentions, being genuine, you know, not pretending you're something else, and what you do duplicates. So if you're negative, or if someone is negative, we don't have any negativity on the call today, and you know, in our team, I don't see any of that happening, which is fantastic. It's like, but sometimes I will say, sometimes, hey, we come up against challenges. Sometimes there's some things that happen that are like not the desirable outcome that we want. And if you're in business, we need to be able to recognize that there will be situations like that will happen. There will be shipping delays in times of COVID. There will be, you know, held up and, you know, taxes charged in customs with different borders and countries. Like these things happen, and that's part of the business. But to complain or to focus on those things, especially in front of your team, is a big no-no, right? Because really, if that's what's happening, that's what you're showcasing for other people to follow. So if there's something that happens, or you have a challenge, or if there's anything that's going on that's like, you know, maybe not the most desirable outcome, share that in your My5. Your My5 that's what we're there for. Your uplines is where we should be sharing the, you know, the stuff that you're challenged by. Just gonna ask everyone to keep themselves muted unless they're speaking. And I'll give a chance if someone wants to speak, just raise your hand so that I can see, and then you can chat. So yeah, if there's anything going on, if there's, you know, something you're not happy about or whatever, like share it in your My5. Let us support you. Let us help you work through that, because we know any business is not without challenges. And a lot of times, many of us have been through some of these common problems already. So let us help you, and not, you know, trickling that down to our team, to our prospects. Like that's not where we should be complaining, right? You have complaint, like there's complaints happen. We're normal people, we're humans, but make sure you know, bring that to your upline so we can help resolve it. Okay. So what you do duplicates, whether it's good, bad, ugly. I spent a lot of time talking about that one. Okay, Alice, you want to take this one away? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead, my dear.
It's talking about your approach, the way you talk to people, and your attitude, your excitement, I believe. And also you have to take them through the process. The words you choose to use, really, they have to be also easy for people to understand. And you have to choose the right words too, because people need to get them. It is clear what you're trying to let them know. it has to be you need to know whom you're talking to. Some people, English is not even their language. You have to choose the right word to use, but in a very kind way, and let people know that what you're saying is really understandable and clear, comes over clear to them. And you have to have respect for prospects, really, because you cannot talk to somebody without no respect. They are not going to listen. You have to give them the platform, tell them that they matter more, they matter most, because if you need them to listen to what you are selling or what you are excited about, you have to tell it to somebody you really respect. So in that way, you really have to be there for them, listen to them, give them the time to ask, and have time to listen to them too. I think you need to have all the time it can take to let them understand you. And your attitude towards your business, of course, you have to be very excited about what you're selling or trying to bring across. And the attitude holds a lot. I always think the body language is also a good thing, is a good attitude. Look into their face. If you are to demonstrate something, you can, if it's to use signs, be ready and prepared to do such, because you can't just stand there maybe and read out a paper about a product or the business. People may not understand you. Not everyone is going to understand you by reading and showing the leaflets. At times you really have to add in some other things, demonstrate, and even show them, really bring things to show. If it needs to test, let them feel and let them touch. So all this help you to build and to gain trust in your prospects. I believe that's what I think I can understand here.
Great job. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, that's it, right? At the end of the day, it's all up to you. And our CEO says in his training, if it's to be, it's up to me. So how we put ourselves out there in the world, the process that we follow, the respect that we have for each other. We talked about energy and attitude. Energy is everything, right? If you're putting out negative energy, what do you expect is going to come back to you, right? So sometimes we don't always feel in our best. Like, it's okay to have, bad days and have, not so nice things happen, but we always have the choice in how we react, the actions that we can take, and how we feel, right? You don't have to stay there. If you're having a bad day, you don't have to stay there. Go outside and do something that makes you happy. Shift your perspective, change your attitude. What are you listening to? Who are you following, and who are you learning from, right? Are you doing personal development every day? I remember when I started on this journey, it's like that was, and still I still do at least an hour of some kind of personal development for myself every day, whether I'm reading or watching a motivational video on YouTube or listening to an audiobook or watching a training or meditating. Like, there's a long list of things where I make myself a priority and my own growth a priority, because if I can continue to grow as an individual, then I can have a bigger impact on the people that I'm surrounding myself with too, right? So again, what is a priority to you when it comes to that? And we can apply ourselves and learn about the business. The business is one side of it, right? But the personal development, honestly, is worth so much more than just business training. Because if you're working on yourself every day and your mindset, and you're sharpening that tool, the tools in your toolbox, like your brain and how you feel, and working on your energy and managing your state, we can have a bigger impact on the people that we're bringing into our world, right? So if it's to be, it's up to me. And not just, so when we talk about process and respect, we do attitude, all these things, the activities too, like, and what's your target? Like, what kind of things do you prioritize in your life? Like, in a perfect day where you would feel like the day was a success, what has to happen in a day for you to feel like it was a success, right? What kind of things make you feel happy and accomplished, right? Then we talked about the daily method of operation. So, you know, activities, what's your target in your business is just one piece of it, right? If you have a target of becoming LD2 in a month, well, do your daily activities match what your target is, right? And this is where I was suggesting maybe we need to do like a forensic challenge where we all hold each other accountable to increasing our daily activities and make it a fun sort of group exercise. So what are you prioritizing? So to give a couple examples, well, actually I'd love to hear from anybody who wants to share, like, what are some examples of income generating activities? Or what are some examples of things that you prioritize in your life that would be a part of your daily operation? You can type in the chat if you don't want to share audio. That's okay too. What are some things, like, what are important activities that we should be doing every day to build our business? Alice, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, share as much as you can with friends and anybody that you know that may, you know, we don't know who is going to take it on positively, but our duty, I think, is to share, because we are just sharing what we love and what we do. We just keep on me. I just think I have to share and share and share. That's all I know I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say share, what specifically do you do to share the message?
I do like share my testimony about Fountain of Life. And of course, at times it speaks for itself. People tell me, wow, your face is glowing, you look great. Then really, it's kind of a welcome. It welcomes me to speak. And I just think, oh, it's good I use these products, because at times you don't know how to talk to start. And if somebody tells me you look great, what's happening? I just tell them, yeah, it's because I'm using this great product. Mm-hmm. I have this kind of skin care which I'm using, but besides that, there is this Fountain of Life, which works really good also from within. We all know that if you take something and everything inside is working right, it will shine out on your skin. I believe both is working well for me. And then the person says, okay, tell me more about it. Which one would you like to know more about? Okay, both actually. But I will tell you, okay, you talked about my skin looking great. Let me tell you about the skin care. And I start there. Mm-hmm. And then later I move on to Fountain Life. But then there, I'm just going to tell them a lot of things, talk about my testimony one by one and one by one. And, you know, most of the time, somebody says, okay, I've had it all, but I'm not suffering from any of them. But I've got an auntie and I've got a friend and I've got my husband. Then I'm like, okay, when is the right time then to see those or to talk to them also? Because seeing is believing. They may want also to see me or hear from me personally. Oh, and I just, at times it just happens like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the sharing is, so Alice's approach, and again, there's different ideas. We all have different ways of doing things. There's, you know, you sharing your own testimonial. You could do that by sending voice notes to say, hey, like I'm taking this product, this is what's happened. It could be when you're encountering people on your day-to-day, like Alice was sharing. I know others have recorded like a little video clip of them with their products in front of them, and they're just sharing, not what it is, but what it does and what it's done for them, even short little clips. Then you can share those with your contacts, and then people who want more information will come back to you and ask for more information, right? There's text scripts where, you know, you could send out 20 text messages. You just change the name, right? How quickly can we send a text message to people on social media, to people on WhatsApp, text on our phone? Like, there are lots of different ways to be able to share, but the activity is the sharing, right? So whether you're sharing a testimonial like Alice does, or you're sending out messages to start conversations, or sharing a message where you're asking someone if they would be open to learning about this product or to learning about this business, depending on who you're messaging. So the activity is prospecting. Like, how many messages are you sending out? How many calls, text messages, voice messages, videos that you're sharing? How many of them are you sharing every day? Like, and Alice, do you keep track of like who you're talking to and like what the results are, or is it more of like?
Mostly, if I send messages, I also send them like a message again that I send my link, because most of the time I've already spoken about it, and I tell them, I'll send you a link, go through it, see what you can learn, and I'll call you again after a day or two. But you know, some people are so busy, they don't even bother to look at the link. People see a lot of messages and those things that even sometimes are not relevant. So I'm always forced to call again or send a message. Hi, when is the right time to talk again? Or did you see what? Did you have time? Did you have time to look at what I sent you? And do you have any questions in case you looked at it? If not, can we look at it together? Because at times I look at the link and I don't know, where do I go and where do I click? What do you want me to see? So I just get on it with them. I get on the phone and I tell them, okay, do it from your side. I will do from my side. What do you want to know? Then they ask me, they want to become a customer. They ask me so many questions there, because at times people want to do it together with you. People are sick and tired of seeing messages, and they just want to be polite and say, okay, I'll see, I'll look at it. So I follow them up until I get the answer. Even if it's no, I'm still happy, but I know that from my side, I've accomplished. I'm done with that part. I know they were not ready, or they have promised me after 1 year or a month or days, but at least I'll come out with an answer.
An answer one way or another is better than no response, or someone not responding because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Sure. Right? I'd much rather get a no than someone wasting my time and I'm following up for no reason, right?
Yeah.
The no's are okay if someone's going to be direct. So I love what you shared. It's like you've got messages being sent out daily, and there's no surprise to me that I hear you sharing that process, because you're getting results because you're consistent in sending those messages every day, I would imagine, or most days, and you work full time and you've got a family and no excuses, right? Because things are happening very quickly for you, and it's because you have those activities that you're focusing on every day. The other thing that I heard was the follow-up, right? In this world, this work from home world, the virtual world, we're all busy, everyone's busy, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Often, you'll share something and it won't be received, or someone won't look at it. Like that will happen more so than someone actually clicking your link and going and buying and becoming a customer, right? In sales, if we're talking about sales, I think 80% of sales happen in like the 7th or 8th exposure, right? So most of the time, like you can't reasonably expect that you reach out to someone once and they're going to become a customer. The fortune is in the follow-up. And that's what Alice was sharing too. It's like she shares every day, but knowing that not everybody's going to pull through, and we need to still, you know, give those reminders to check back in with them. Like, hey, have you had a chance to look at that? Or, you know, again, touching them again, until, you know, until you've been successful in sharing what you've wanted to share and they've watched the video or they've checked the link and gotten back to you, right? So being patient with the process, but again, committing to those activities. So there's prospecting where you're sharing and sending messages out initially. And then the follow-up is where you're following up to see if, like, did they look, or did they tune into the webinar, like, or do they have any questions? Like the follow-up, that should be a part of your daily activity too. Now, on that topic though, you need to have a way to track what activities you're doing. Because with the follow-up specifically, like, how do you know when you're supposed to follow up with who, right? How are you tracking that? So in Forensic Networker, we have a system that makes that process really easy. And I'm not going to train that today. But if you don't have a forensic box and you're not doing forensic right now, get a notebook, get something where you can write it down. Even write the names, you know, you write the names of all the people that you contacted. And what that does is as people respond to you, then you can make a little, a mark that, you know, that they responded back. Or if they said, oh, not right now, contact me in a week, you can make a note of when you're going to contact them next. What's your next action with them? And also in doing that and keeping a list, it also is validation for you that you're actually doing the work. Because you're looking at this list and you're like, those are the people I reached out to today. Like it's a visual representation of the activities that you are taking. And so I strongly suggest that, you know, if you're not on forensic, with the forensic box, get a notebook and just keep track. Start keeping track, because the more you do this, you're going to only have more people that you need to follow up with. So you cannot keep it all track in your head, right? So
Steph, I just want to add on to that.
Oh yes, please do, please, my dear.
Yeah, I think with that, with keeping track of the friends, that will also lead to we hosting our own events, and like we get to know our own customers and build relationships with them.
Absolutely.
Then those people we build relationship with can invite some other customers. Then that will encourage them also to bring their friends. Then with that we can also, I think, start on the events, like holding our own small events, even if it's a group of 4 to 3 to 5 people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, if we're talking about, I know we're stuck on this slide for a while, like what's your target and what are you prioritizing? So if you're going to work, if you want to do events, and an event doesn't have to be elaborate where you have a room full of people, right? It can be a few people at your house where you have a little display and you're just sharing about the products, or you find some testimonials that you can share, or you invite one of us to come and share for your guests in your home on Zoom, right? But that, you know, doing events or inviting people to a webinar, or those are income generating activities, right? Ultimately. And it's not all about the money, but those are the activities that are closest to the dollar, right? That's what is ultimately, if you're in business, those are the things to focus on that are going to generate profits for you. But remember, we're dealing with people. It's a crazy time in the world right now. People are busy, and, you know, we're in the people business more than anything. I think, you know, caring about people and having good intentions to want to help, and not looking at people and our prospects and people we're talking to as, you know, with a, you know, a dollar sign in their eyes, right? Like we're focused on the relationship first, and coming from a genuine place, and coming from a place of like wanting to help, and the rest will come, right? So again, it's up to you, and what you prioritize. One thing that I do every day, as part of my daily method of operation, is I send happy birthday messages to everyone on my Facebook account. And I know this was talked about on our training with one of our leaders, Ronan Trifon, and it's like, you know, something he teaches as well. Because if I send a happy birthday, everyone whose birthday is on that day, I don't post on their wall on Facebook. I send them a message, a private message, because the people that respond back to say thank you, it opens a new conversation, right? And I'm not sending a happy birthday message so that I can convert them into a customer, but keeping social and connected with people that I am online with. Like on your social media, what's the point if you're not going to be talking and having conversations with people? So I send happy birthday messages every single day, every morning. I look at whose birthday it is and I send them a message. And then the ones that respond back, like to say thank you, I say something like, hey, you know, it's apart from, you know, celebrating your birthday, we actually haven't had a chance to really chat. Or if I don't know them, we haven't really got a chance to get to know each other. I would love to change that. When would you be free for a call? And then so I can convert some of those conversations into, you know, coffee chats where I meet them on Zoom, or we just exchange messages back and forth to get to know each other a little bit. And then you never know what can come out of that. And that's going to be part of some of the later training. So again, there's just one example. If you're making phone calls, if you're more comfortable making calls, if it's a text message, if you're sharing your videos, testimonial, however you want to communicate your message, that's the process. Like those are the activities that we can control, right? Having a process for developing your team. So we have a motto here at Opulence called "No Partner Left Behind," right? One of the things that I have always been impressed about our company from the very beginning is they pride themselves in teaching people how to achieve success in business. There's no hype, you know, we're not here to get people excited and just like, you know, and then they're just buying packages to buy a package. We want people that are excited to learn, that are coachable to apply themselves, that are, you know, wanting to come together to work towards something bigger than themselves. Those are the kinds of people we want to attract. And so we have to have a process for how do we manage ourselves? How do we manage our team, right? And our team is growing very fast. And so we're looking at, you know, different ways that we can make the process easier for all of you, so that again, we're following the same process, that all of our new partners get proper training, that everyone is supported with what they need, and so that we can all have that success together. So that's the other thing that is up to you. So all of you that are attending this call today, like you've prioritized your business. This was important to you to be on this call. And I hope that, you know, as these calls continue, we'll have more and more people on this call, because those that aren't here, it wasn't a priority for them, right? And we have different things going on in our lives. It's my birthday weekend. My son is, you know, watching YouTube right now, and I could be hanging out with him, but I'm here with you instead, right? And that's my commitment to you every single week. And so again, prioritizing what's important, especially when someone is new. Like, the most important thing that you can do when you're brand new is to be plugged into as many trainings as you can, because the more you learn, the faster you're going to get up and running and into action where you're going to be making money. And that's the whole, you know, the whole point. So remember, if it's to be, it's up to me, leading by example. So you can't expect your team to do things that you're not doing yourself, right? And I'm guilty of this too, because sometimes I get in not in a bad way, but just with everything that's happening in the team, it's like I spend a lot of time in the My Fives supporting all of you, where when I'm trying to balance my family and the other things I have going on and my own frontline activities, my own daily activities of reaching out to people myself, Sometimes it's like I end up spending more time supporting the team than on my own activities, but I can't be teaching, MGRS and like want to inspire all of you to hit MGRS and to go for these bonuses if I'm not doing it myself. So I have to remember that too sometimes, right? And it's a matter of finding that balance. But again, being committed, being here, leading by example, do the work. If you're going to expect other people to do the work, we have to be showing up powerfully in the same way. Otherwise, it's like, I think the term is like being a hypocrite, right? If we're not like leading by example and showing, we're not doing it ourselves, then how can we expect that other people are going to do it too, right? So that's that one. We spent a lot of time there. So lead generation. How do we find leads, Alice?
Finding, you mean where to find new people?
Yeah, where do we meet people?
Well, we meet people in our gathering, social lives, like in when we go to supermarket, when we're in shops, when we are at birthday parties, when we're on the bus, when we're on the train, everywhere.
Right.
So, yeah, we're at home parties, and we meet up in pubs, public events, parties, different business gatherings, hair salons. I can't name it all, many places.
Absolutely. So everywhere, like it's, you think of all the places you go, all the places you spend money, right? If you're open to having conversations with people, then you can generate new leads. And it's not about making the sale at these events. What did Daniela call it? I think she had said collecting friends. Like wherever you go, focus on making a new friend, right? Just striking, and this is something that is more comfortable for some people than others. It's something that you have to practice, stretch yourself a little bit. Also keep in mind that in this world we're living in, it's where you can meet people online easily too. There's online networking events. There's different business referral organizations like BNI, and events, different gatherings, trade shows, online trade shows. I also, even on social media, right? So you could, if you're in, let's say you're in a different Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups or whatever, WhatsApp, any channel where there's people spending time, maybe you have a chance to share posts, or maybe, you're just in different Facebook groups. There's different Facebook groups and different networking groups for all different kinds of things, like from, alcoholism and recovery to groups, to like health and wellness, to dog lovers. Like find some groups or in community groups or what have you, and join them, and just don't focus on making a sale, but focus on making new friends, right? So you can connect to someone, and again, there's some example scripts and again, I'm working on a document that summarizes and compiles some of these scripts, and I'm hoping to be able to share with all of you. You want to share in your own words, but there's a way that you can suggest something so that it's not weird. If I'm sending someone a friend request on Facebook, I usually will take a look at their profile, right? If what they're sharing is something I resonate with, that I can connect with, like if they have kids, or if they're, I'm attracted to people who are, positive, that are sharing value online. So I'll send them a message and just say, hey, I really love, this about your profile. Like I'm a single mom too, or I love dogs too. I would love to get to know you a bit better, or whatever, right? You can make new friends, and you can add to your contact list by different groups and different communities and different platforms, like depending on where, what kind of platforms you like to use. Facebook is a big one for me. Instagram, LinkedIn, there's, WhatsApp, there's all kinds of different groups that exist, right? So focus, like whatever you can do to meet new people, to make new friends. The process that we teach is not to You know, when you meet someone new, you're not trying to sell them on the spot, right? First, we have to build a relationship. You have to build like and trust first before you get the sale, right? So if it's you're meeting new friends and they're people you don't know, then you have to build the like and trust first. That's important. So again, not looking at people like a transaction, but you know, making friends. I always look for, and this is me, but like, and I come from traditional business background too. So like people reach out to me for advice when it comes to business, not just in this industry, but just with other things that I've done. And when I meet someone, I always look for like, how can I add value for this person? What do they need? Like well, first of all, what's something I can connect with them on as a human being? Like, what do we have in common that we can talk about? And how can I add value? Like, do I have something that could add value to their lives? That's what's in my mind when I meet new people and when I'm making friends. I'm just focusing on like, hey, where do I have a connection with this person that could continue a relationship, and how can I add value for them? So that's kind of my approach, but the lists are endless. I gave you a few ideas there. So if you're not someone that has a big, you know, social media following, if you're not using Facebook or these social media channels, that doesn't mean that you can't start, right? I add 5 new friends to my Facebook every day. So this is part of my DMO is making new friends. So, or I'll like be in a Facebook group, like I'm in a lot of the health and wellness groups, because guess what? People that care about health and wellness are more likely to be interested in something like Fountain of Life. So I'm intentional about that. Not to say I'm not going in there and spamming Fountain of Life, but I'm looking for people, you know, within those groups that I can align with and eventually share what I have. So that's just one little tip, you know, in terms of lead generation. Any other ideas around lead generation? Anyone have any stories of, you know, something that they've done that has worked for them? Sarah, are you there, my dear? I know you have, I'd love to hear from you because I know you have a traditional store, you know, so you have people coming into your store on a regular basis. What do you do when you meet new, are you there, my dear? I know that you had some other things going on. I just would love for you to share a little piece about that. You're here. Maybe she's not here right now. Okay, that's okay. So we all have different methodologies. There's different ways of doing it. That's one approach that I have. But again, remembering that, you know, it's not exclusive to that. It just, in this world we live in, I think the online strategy is something to pay attention to, because you're also not limited to your geography, right? You're not limited to your city and where you live. Our business is global. So with social media and online strategies, you can meet people anywhere in the world, right? If you know, and you don't have to be on all platforms. Choose one platform that works for you, that you're most comfortable with, and just be consistent in that. So that's lead generation. Okay, so some of this training, you know, what's suggested in this part of the training is with the tools. So again, and some of this training is like when our business was before COVID times, right? We would do a lot more in-person events, trade shows, you know, we're out and about a lot more than today. That doesn't mean we're not out and about and doing things. And, you know, it's just, I think the online strategy is more important with everything that's going on. But there are still places like salons and doctor's offices and car detailing and you know, places where people are frequenting, where we can leave brochures, we can leave catalogs, the tools to invest in your business. I never leave home without these. I don't know if you can see me. You can probably see me, but I never leave home without these brochures. So I always recommend these brochures are a must-have for everybody. It's the little pamphlet that talks about Fountain of Life, how it works, what it is, and then there's some testimonials in the back, because I never know who I'm going to meet. And so I never leave home without those brochures and a couple bottles of Fountain of Life, because I never know where a conversation is going to go, right? So though this tool I always recommend, because it's, you know, Fountain of Life is something that is relevant for everybody. There's other tools that we have, and we have lots of amazing tools that are available to you in the back office, depending on what you want to focus on. I know I have, you know, all the places where I spend money, where there's like a waiting room, they all have a catalog, like one of the fashion catalogs with my label on it. And because I never know who's going to be there, and because I spend money there already, it's easy to get permission to leave a catalog where I'm already a customer, right? So think about that. Like anywhere you go, where do you spend time? Is there an opportunity where you could talk to people or leave brochures and leave some of the tools that we have available to you? The sticker, so this is not one that has a sticker. This is another, the toothpaste card. On the back, you see I have a label there. So the label is like, it was designed by a guy, I have a print guy in Ottawa. So I have a template if anybody wants to use that same template, or you can create your own, but this makes it easy. It has the logo and everything. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. He's happy to do them. I think it's maybe like $5 or something, 5 Canadian dollars, something like that, where he creates the template and will send you the sheet, the sticker template, where you can just send them to your local print place to get printed. That has all your information. So he'll individualize it for anybody who wants that. So let me know if anybody's interested in that. But it's also not hard to create them on your own. I always suggest using the labels because it's a lot more professional. If you use your own handwriting, it just like, sometimes you can't read. Sometimes people can't read people's handwriting. It just like the label is concise and professional. So I make that recommendation as well. So there's lead generation opportunities with dropping off tools. Oh, I'll give you an example. So my friend Hazel has a salt therapy business. So I'll show it again. Sorry, I'm just seeing the chat. So here it has name, my position, lifestyle advisor, phone number, email address, website, and then the Opulence logo there. So that's what it looks like. Everyone's, you know, if you want the template from my printer guy, it's going to be the exact same, just your information. So what I did with Hazel, she has a salt therapy business. So it's like a salt room where, you know, people that have respiratory issues, like there's science to back it up. And so on her counter where the people pay, what I did is I brought a purse, like a couple things of like everything. So I had a purse, I had a necklace that looks really nice hanging over the purse, an empty bottle of Fountain of Life. I'm not going to leave a full one, but just to show the bottle. Even this one's empty, but I always have it here so I can talk about it. And a toothpaste, and then a couple brochures. But what I did was I had a draw. So so people could see a little sample of like a little bit of the products. They could look through the catalog. And if they wanted to fill in for a chance to win a $50 gift card from my store, they had to fill in their contact information. So they're going in for the draw, but guess what? Each one of those names is a lead because I can call all of them. So you can be creative in the ways that you generate leads as well. In this case, like I was, well, not only is she my friend, but I'm also a client of hers, right? You can approach salons, you can approach, you know, if you know people already there, it's a little easier because you already have some relationships. Or if you're a customer, then they're more likely to let you do something like that because it's the law of reciprocity, right? So you can be creative with what you want to do there as well. I know, and Danny, our sales development manager, has lots of different ideas. That's just one idea, you know, in terms of using tools to generate leads. The next one, okay, how do we meet people? So if we're meeting people, so we're talking about all the places we meet people and what do we do? Well, you know, what do you want to do when you meet people? You want to like build a bit of a relationship and have a conversation. So building like and trust using form. So keeping in mind, you know, while you're having a conversation with someone that you've never met before, and again, could be in person, could be online, whatever form that how you're connecting with people, find a commonality, find something that you have with them in common, whether it's, you know, family, friends, occupation, recreation, where they live, motivation. Form is kind of the basis of creating a conversation and creating like and trust. Sorry, Alice, why don't you take this one away? I just kept going on, but I want, I'll give you a chance to share a little bit about this.
Questioning people in a respectful way. It's well, I think you can start. It could be maybe you can be interested in what they do, or about, you can even be interested in how they look at that particular time. You can, I think you can start a conversation from there, and then
yeah,
even if they're new, because I think there you can try to hold a conversation. That's how I normally, I ask them what they do, and or I just, if I think their hair looks nice, or how they appear is good, they have a nice top on, I just tell them, you know what, I have liked your top, or I like your hairstyle. And in so doing, I always open start a conversation, and
yep.
It motivates them in talking. They open up, and you know, even me, in the long run, they also ask me, and they find something good to talk about there, and we start from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And all it takes is one thing. Like, breaking the ice is sometimes the hardest thing, because once you're talking, you're not like, oh, trying to check all these boxes of FORM, right? It's a conversation that you're having. But what do you do is a great question to start with, because it's a common question that kind of opens a door, right? Oh, so tell me, what do you do? Or a compliment, I heard Alice mention. Paying a compliment is a great way to open a conversation, because you've initiated it, and it's people like to be complimented. Our human nature, right? It feels good, you know, to have a compliment. And so generally people's response, you know, is a positive one, like, oh, thank you, you know. It's like,
Yeah,
that
actually,
there. Go ahead.
yeah, this listening more, like when you start a conversation like that, you tell them, oh, I like your dress. They end up really talk more, and you listen more, you talk less, because they end up telling you, oh, it wasn't actually expensive, I bought it from Primark, and you know, I just managed to accessorize it. That's why maybe you think it's nice. And I'm like, wow, I'm just there listening. Well, I say, okay, how much money was it? Then I go into that conversation about the dress, of course. And before you know, I also tell about my story. It will come somewhere. There's a way we'll join in. I will join in. I can't tell you how, but always there's a way it will put me to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we show interest in other people, eventually they ask about us too, right? You ask someone enough questions about themselves. People like to talk about themselves, and just like the dress conversation can kind of turn into this whole thing. If you ask people enough questions about themselves, eventually they're going to ask you, well, what do you do? Or, you know, it'll come back to you, which will give you an opportunity to share something about what you have. And the cool thing about asking questions in relation to all of this, you want to be looking for where you might have a solution. So if you ask them a question about recreation as an example, and they mention that they're, you know, they live like a very healthy, active lifestyle, and they like to do these activities, then you could, you know, that could give you something to lead into Fountain of Life down the line, because it's aligned with healthy living, right? As an example. Or occupation, if someone is open about, you know, their employment status, and they say, oh, you know, like, yeah, times are a little bit tough right now. Like again, that can be converted in down the line, not necessarily in the same conversation. If you're meeting someone brand new, you do not have to prospect them about the business. And I wouldn't recommend it doing the first time anyways. You want to focus on making the friend first, right? You can always come back to that conversation a little bit later. But looking for, you know, synergies between you and that person, because at the end of the day, you decide who you want to work with, right? There's people that I meet that, like, I don't prospect for the business. I don't prospect everybody for the business because I have a standard of the type of person that I want to work with, right? So by asking people more questions, you can find out more if they're aligned with who you are and the type of person that you might want to deal with as a customer or as a business partner, right? And see what gets them excited. So when you start asking people questions about themselves, you can notice in people's demeanor if they're jazzed up or if they're sad. Like, watch for those cues, like see what gets them excited, if their eyes light up or if they're smiling, or, you know, like, pay attention to those kinds of cues, because the more that you know about what gets them excited, that will form that relationship faster. So so that's like, you meet someone new, you start by building like and trust, and then what you want to convert it, really you want to take that to the next step where now they're like a friend. Oh, there we go. So after we've made the connection with the new person, then we want to, you know, exchange numbers or add them to social media, right? Like, you can ask for their number on WhatsApp, or you can say, hey, like, let's keep in touch, right? You know, or do you use Facebook or Instagram, like, or WhatsApp? Like, I'd love to keep in touch with you. Like, maybe we could, you know, have a coffee chat online, you know, in next week or something. And then I pull out my phone, and then they usually do the same, right? Hey, let's keep in touch. Like, are you on Facebook? Like, I'd love to keep in touch with you. That's usually what I do. It's easy because everyone's online, right? Or you exchange phone numbers and ask them the best time to call. And what would you do from here, Alice? Like, after you've met someone new, like, what's your process? You're muted, my dear.
I would ask them the best time to if we can share contact, or if they are willing to meet up in person, if it was not this COVID. And they always tell me the time they think they can meet or talk to me. Of course, I would have asked if they work or not working. And then we find the right time suitable for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I make, when it's a WhatsApp, of course, I will again, on that day, send like a message, say, remember I said I will have a chat with you. Is this now the right time? Are you busy, or you are ready for a chat? And then we start from there. If it's WhatsApp, we start chatting. If we have to meet up, of course, I go ready and looking presentable, because really, if you are there, you're going to talk about your business.
Yeah.
You're going to go well presented and looking good. You're going to talk about your creams, but you have to go when you're really well polished. And that's how I always do it. And find the right place, the right atmosphere. You need to go and meet, maybe if it's appropriate to meet at the coffee shop, you find the right place to meet at. Or if it's at your place or her place. If it's at mine, I will of course make it also presentable, welcoming, and I make sure that the children are not here to interrupt with us. So things like that. Absolutely. And when she comes, she really will feel that, oh, this person was really ready for me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So whatever your next step is, the most important thing is that you exchange numbers, because if you just give your business card and your number, then the control is fully in their hands, right? So you always want to exchange numbers and or like, you know, add them as a, connect with them as a friend on social media works too. Like however you do it, exchange. It's not one-sided. Find out the best time for them, and then what's that next step. So you always want to be thinking like, what's always that next step? And again, it's not about the transaction, but this is like with new people and new contacts, it's building relationships. So you're not thinking about like, oh, what's my appointment so that I can get a new customer, but like, hey, what's the next step? Let's have a chat. Like, let's get to know each other a bit better. And then when you do, you're looking for ways that you can, you know, share about what you have for sure. It comes naturally though. It's not necessarily like the ultimate intention in the beginning when you're meeting new people.
Yeah, people also want to know if you're interested in their families and their even pets. People here, we have friends that love their pets so much. And if you really ask, you know, I wonder how your cat is doing. You told me you have a cat. Wow, they love that. I just know that they love that so much.
Absolutely.
They're like, wow, this person really likes me, even knows about my cat or my dog.
And that's where too, keeping some notes on the people you're meeting is helpful. And that's part of forensic, where you have a, you know, you kind of jot down any notes that, you know, if you meet someone, just so you remember, because in your future interactions, then they're like, just like Alice said, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she remembered that I said that. But the like happens first. People will like you if you show interest in them. And then when it comes to talk about what you have, the trust is easier because you've already established the like. You've already shown interest in them, in building that relationship. If you pitch what you have too fast, that turns a lot of people off, right? So building that relationship and that connection and showing an interest in other people first is the most important thing. It makes the next part easier, right? The trusting. So if you're gonna eventually show a product that could change their lives, or a business opportunity that could change their life, they already know that, like, they like and respect you. They're more likely to trust what you're suggesting, or trust that you have a solution for something, if you've already done a good job at building that relationship, right? So that is, and focusing on what their interests are, not what yours are. So then what do we bring to our meeting? So this is like, again, a traditional example of where we would meet someone for what we call a coffee chat, where we have all these tools, and you still can do that if people are open to meeting in person. You can, you know, depending on what they're comfortable with doing, but you know, online chats work too, where I could just set up a coffee appointment in my calendar. We are meeting for a coffee or tea, but we're just online, right? And we're just having a conversation. So you have your tools, you know, what you want to bring to your meeting, and depending on what came out of that conversation, maybe the next step after making a new friend is not necessarily where you're showing them the business right away, but it could just be more of an expansion on just getting to know them. Or maybe in your first contact with them, you know, they are already interested in Fountain of Life, in which case, then yeah, you know, you're bringing the tools and you know, to talk about specifically what they're interested in. So we have lots of different options. Again, depends on what the next objective is. For some people, you know, you might need to build that relationship a bit more before you invite them to see of the business opportunity, right? I always just remember, ask lots of questions, because the more questions you ask, the more you learn about them. And that's the listening. You know, you're listening more than what you're talking. You're not talking and spewing out all the information you have, or giving them a tour presentation in a 5-minute conversation. Oh my gosh, I have this amazing business, you need to join my team, blah, 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 blah. It's You need to build the relationship first, and how you do that is by asking enough questions. Because if you ask a question like, if you know what they do for work, or you know what they do for fun from the form, then when you're offering something that you have, like the Fountain of Life, you could say something like, well, I actually incorporate into your own story. Like, so for what I would say is like, wow, I really admire, your interest and your passion for keeping yourself healthy and the healthy lifestyle. I operate very similarly, like, and I've really pride myself in drinking lots of water and exercising, and like, that's very important to me too. The other thing that has been tremendous in maintaining a healthy lifestyle for me is a product that I've been taking for over 2 years, where my sleep has been improved, and I haven't gotten sick, and then I would use that opportunity to kind of share a little bit of my story, but not going too overboard. But like, hey, if you'd be open to that, I'd love to share that product with you, and then see what they say, right? So depends on what you want to share at your meeting. It depends on how your conversation went. If you want to invite them to a tour, if you're going to do a coffee chat. I do a lot of coffee chats on Zoom, where it's like we just meet and just have a drink and just have a chat and see where the conversation goes, right? If I'm asking them questions about their income, or like what they do for a living, or like, hey, another good question is like, how, if I got to know someone a little bit better, like, how has this pandemic, impacted your life, your family's life? Like, are, you guys doing okay? Like, are you okay? Like, it's because people are in different places, right? Some people lost their jobs. Some people carried on, right? If we don't ask that question, then we don't know. And if someone's like, and if I'm talking about that and they're like, oh, and there's uncertainty, or they're looking for work, I straight up ask the question, like, would you be open to an opportunity to earn income from home? Like, I'd love to share with you what I do, see if it resonates with you. If not, that's okay. But hey, if you're open, we can set that up and just, again, see what they say, right? So we're actually at the top of the hour already. Wow, that went by fast. So we'll finish through these slides. I know this call ends at 5, but I want to make sure we finish this. I think we have a few more left. So system duplication. So from there, basically, you're bringing people through the process. First, you're making friends, you're building a relationship. At some point, you want to ask a question, right? If they're open to learning about the products, or if they're open to learning about the business. And however you ask, there's lots of different variations of that. And then from there, the process is to either help them become a VIP shopper, or as a lifestyle advisor and a partner in our business, right? The system duplication is where now we need to introduce them to the process. So we help them, open their account. If they want to try Fountain of Life, if they want to place an order, we help them do that, make sure that happens. And this is very common. A lot of times it's like we get people on, people start using Fountain of Life first themselves, and then they become a partner from there. And I think that's true for a few people on this call today. That's how you became partners with us. You first started using the product, and that is very effective because of what Fountain of Life does. It works, right? People use a product and they believe it. They believe what it can do for them because they've felt it themselves. Then when they become partners from there, their belief is in the business is already established because the product is already working for them, which also helps with retention and for people to be more engaged and motivated to work with us as business partners, once they've had experience with the product. So help them with that process. They want to join the business, the first steps. And we have a whole process in our team. We're trying to provide as much support for all of you to support the new partners that are coming in, because many of our new team members are introducing new partners where you're still learning. And so we have systems and support structure to help our new partners as well, and following that process. So, making a list, and really the first thing that someone brand new coming in should do is read chapter 1 of the Prosperity book, which is online in your back office. Start by make a list of people that you want to share the Fountain of Life with, the products that we have, the opportunity. Start by making a list. And then we help you sort of, you know, contact your contacts and repeat this process, right? So that's the system duplication. We're also working in our team, we're working at, you know, how can we systemize things even more so, just to make it standard. So for example, we have like a team process document that, like, what do you do when you launch a new partner? What are the first things that you need to do with that new person? And if we all follow that process, then all of our new partners will have the support that they need, right? Which is important. Because if someone doesn't feel supported and valued, they won't stay here, right? And so it's very, very important that we take care of them. Just looking at my notes. Team momentum. Okay, go for no's. So here we go. So the 100 no's is a pretty cool exercise. Like the more no's that you get, the more yeses you'll get. Alice, you want to sort of kick us off on this one? You're muted, my dear.
Yes, it is right. One, you can get the 100 no's, but I think it makes you grow. The more no's you get, at times you have to revise it and see why it's getting no and no. But mostly it's not personal, because people don't know what you're telling them. They are new to it, or they have used so many things and they have seen things that never worked for them. They have the right to say no. So I never take that personal. I have had I have an issue. I had the experience with one of my friend. I tried to share with her about the product, because really she's been not well for years. And she told me, no, I use everything, nothing has helped me. Doctors have helped me with all the latest medication and everything good. So who are you to tell me, well, this is going to work for me? I said, no, there is no guarantee, but I know it has worked for some people. I sent testimonies, I sent all that. I told her my own testimony. She said, no, after all, there's no money for that. I don't need to do it. And I knew where to talk now from there, of course. I knew her know where it was coming from. She said, you know, I don't have money. Call me after tomorrow. We'll see. I had to respect her time. She told me to call her. I called her again. I said, remember, we were supposed to talk again tomorrow at this time. She said, yeah, but you know, when I told you that we talk again, I still told you that I had no money. I said, oh, if the issue is money, what if we found a solution? She said, what? How? I said, what? How much money do you have at least? You have at least half of the money to do the customer one, the 3 bottles? She said, half I can get. I told her, okay, half I will give you, because I really care, and I really care about you, and I want you to feel good. I believe you will get the best results. She said, okay, then call me again tomorrow and we'll do it. That was so good. That no was not negative. It was not about me.
Right.
It was her being fed up, sick, and tired of trying things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I love what you shared too, not taking it personally, because sometimes when someone says no, it's like there's another reason, there's another underlying reason. It's not that they don't want what we have, it's just there's something in their mind, or there's a block for them.
Yeah.
And so uncovering that is important. And that again is relationship building. Now, what you put out to her is not something that I would suggest for everybody to do. We don't want to give products away, because you know, people won't value it if it's free, but it depends on how well you know the person. If that's the real block, you can decide what kind of discounts you want to give. If, let's say, or you could do like, you know, if the product works for you, you bring me 3 more referrals, your bottle's free. Like, you can be creative with things that you do too. But the point here is to get the no's, like go for the no's, because the more no's that you get, the more yeses that you'll get. In the process, you'll develop your confidence, right? And the law of averages is that state that it's a numbers game, right? Again, you get the no's, the yeses come. And the no's are part of it. So acknowledging that it's okay if someone says no. Sometimes it's hard, especially in the beginning, to accept rejection, right? But that's why we have this conversation. It's like, just know that it's part of it. And Daniela, actually, what she does is I have a sheet from when I did this exercise before. If you take a sheet of paper and you write 10 no's across here and 10 no's down here, and then fill them all in, that's 100. So anytime you're prospecting with anybody and you get a no, check one off. Go for the 100 no's. See how long it takes you to go for 100 no's. Make it fun, right? And a no doesn't have to mean like someone saying no to your product, but it could even mean like, you know, you're trying to schedule a coffee chat and they say, no, it doesn't work. Like, I'm busy right now. Okay, that's a no, right? Like, that's a no in the conversation. It doesn't have to be someone, declining what your offer is. Could even be, just they're deferring to a later time. Doing more presentations. So more coffee chats, having more people attending these tours and meetings that we have. And meeting your IGA target. So IGA is income generating activities. So again, going back to what are you prioritizing in terms of the activities that will generate income for you, whether it's doing an event, doing a virtual event, inviting people to tours, having people at your house, doing one-on-one coffee chats, like whatever it is, making sure that you have income generating activities in your daily method of operation and in your weekly method of operation. Retention. Okay. So this is like, now that we start building a team and we have some partners that we're working with, how do we keep them, right? Retention is very important. And like, there's a lot of different ways we do this. And I think as a company, Opulence does a great job with retention in comparison to the industry average. The industry average of network marketing is 10% of people stay with their company. That means 90% of their workforce quit, or not even necessarily quit, maybe don't do much, right? There's people that will partner with us and they'll be enjoying their products, and that's fine too. Not everybody that will partner will be serious about building a business, and that's okay. We love all of our partners, and we can't force people to be in action or to take action. We can host these trainings, right? The 11 of you, of us are here, right? We're committed to our business. We're committed because we're here to learn, and we're committed to putting those times in, but not everybody will. So managing expectations with the team, keeping in connection with them, calling them and catching up. But if you're calling your team members, the call should not be like, okay, what have you been working on? Because then people just feel like a number, right? We don't want people to feel like a number. We want people to feel like they matter. I do my best as I'm learning about you guys in your My5, and we're connecting and we're having conversations. I like to learn about you guys and your families and what motivates you and what your why is and why you decided to join this business. Because if it comes along where it's like it's difficult or you're having a bad day, I can do my best as one of your leaders and your upline to motivate you and remind you of why you decided to partner with us in the first place. So the more we know about each other, the more we can inspire each other to do bigger things together. And so every person matters. Even someone that's got a lot of, people have personal things going on in their life that they need to put their business on pause for now. Like, we all have different things happening in our life. Some people are more committed than others. Some people just want a discount on the products. We love people wherever they're at. And if we love people for wherever they're at and whatever their intention is, then they will stay with us, and every person matters. So what I see happen in a lot of other companies is like their big leaders, like their upline leaders, only pay attention to the people who are producing results, right? And that's a huge miss, because it doesn't matter if someone's a producer and they're building a business quickly, or someone's just enjoying their products. We all are contributing to the volume, right? Every customer and every partner matters. And I do my best to, connect with and, be there for everybody, that as much as I can be, and to letting people know that they matter, even if they're not producing results, right? We all matter. We're all in this together with whatever your level of desire is. We all have different motivations. We have different things that are important to us. Like someone like Ifra, who's not on the call today, when I met her 2 years ago, she had fire in her from the beginning, because her why is bigger than herself, and the impact that she wanted to make by partnering with us for her community around the world. And she quit her job, her government job. Like, that was always a target. It was just a question of when was she going to do it. Not everybody has that level of desire, right? So we meet people with where they're at, and making sure that everybody knows that they matter and that they're important, I think, is really important to retention. The more people we can include on these calls, the more they feel like they're part of something, right? If you feel like you're part of something, you feel like you're part of a family and that you're valued, you'll stay, right? And that's what we want to create here. And I think in our team, and the company also does a great job at creating a healthy culture, right? That's where our retention as a company is much, much higher than any other company in the industry. The industry average is 10%. Ours is probably around 50, right? 50%, 40% more than the industry as a whole. Why? Because we do these things. We care. We care, and we want to make sure people know that they're valued and important. So that, I think, is, I know that there was, I didn't capture all the slides. That's all I have for today. The big one that I didn't cover, that was covered yesterday, is the different personality types. And that I could spend a whole hour just by itself. And I think, maybe next call, or maybe I'll do a separate training just for that, because I think that one is, it requires a bit more time than just like a few minutes to dig into that. If you've never done any personality sort of quizzes or learned about different personalities, I think it's a great thing to be aware of for yourself, like the type of personality that you have. Because if you have first awareness of yourself, then you can identify in other people, and you can just know how to maneuver yourself when you're dealing with different personalities of people. So we'll leave that for now. I'll do a separate one, or next week I'll cover that one. I'll stop sharing my screen. And before we close the call, I'm just going to see if there are any questions or any comments from anyone on the line. Did you get some value? Did you have any questions about what we covered? Anything you want to share? Hi, Christine. Good to see you. I always love when people turn their cameras on, so I feel like I'm talking to humans. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you, my dear?
I'm all right, thank you.
Good, good. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in Birmingham.
Birmingham. Okay, excellent.
Yes, UK. Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome to the call. Did you get some good value from today?
Yes, I've picked something good. I joined in late, but I've learned something, especially the last bit that you've been talking about, retaining our customers, retaining our people we are working with. We have to learn to care for everyone. It's like we are treating everyone the same. It doesn't matter how much they've put in, how much we gain from that person, from that customer. We have to care for everyone, because you don't know what will come up tomorrow, what will come up next month, next year. You never know. So we have to care for everyone. Maybe the moment they may be, the way we care for that person, he or she will bring out some customer who will benefit you more. So I really took that one for myself. It was great. It was great. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, everyone matters. It's yeah, it's just it's a very basic idea. But that that in and of itself, if everyone knows that they're important, people need to feel valued and they need to feel important and that they matter, right? So it doesn't matter what someone chooses to do. They just want to be a customer. They just want to enjoy their products. Everybody matters, just like I said. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad that you got a good takeaway there. And yeah, I think it's a foundational thing that we should always remember. So thank you for being on the call, and no worries that you were late, but we're here every week the same time for the 2 hours. So make sure to tell everybody. Let's build these calls up and get more people on the line with us. Alice, thank you so much for being my co-presenter today. I know I put you on the spot.
You're welcome.
Do you find though, like when you're having to, verbalize what you've learned, how that helps like for you to learn more in a different way when you're teaching it?
Yeah, true. You always want to explain to the best you can do, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for that motivation. Thank you. I wasn't prepared for that, but done.
It's done. Absolutely. And it's like, I asked on you because I knew you were a part of that training yesterday. So it's not like, it was fresh on your mind. It was something that you had just heard. And it doesn't, everything doesn't need to be communicated in the exact same way. Like I have a different way of presenting than Daniela does. My version of that training is communicated differently, but it's like I'm tuning into always those calls and taking notes. Like I refer to my notes, and I've learned all this stuff before, right? But probably what came out as I was teaching it to you was a little bit different than last time. So that's how we all learn and how we all grow. And I think these calls are most effective and most impactful when we hear from different people. I would, love for everybody to, be sharing something and sharing what they're taking away and, sharing ideas here because we can all learn from each other too. So, any quick questions before we close the call?
Not me.
No questions? Okay, so I want to, just before I close the call, here, I'm going to stop recording actually because we're done this part as far as this training goes. And I will put the recording in the team chat so that anybody who wants to review it, you can.